What's going on, everybody? It's SVT Vasquez. Welcome to another video. In this video, I'm going to be discussing what's going on with the Las Vegas Raiders. Let's start this show. Welcome back to my channel, everybody. If you didn't know, I do have a Mustang Cobra in silver and black. And the reason it's in silver and black is because of my team, the Las Vegas Raiders. So after this defeat to Kansas City and this last Sunday, I had to make a video about the team because people are talking all kinds of crazy out there in the nation. So let's just discuss what's going on to Las Vegas. All right, let's get started with the obvious, guys. So the thing that has changed from last year, obviously not our quarterback, not our running back, our wide receivers are mostly all there. Obviously, we lost Henry Ruggs, but the main key that has changed in our offense is our offensive line. Rodney Hudson went off to the Arizona Cardinals for a draft pick. We have a rookie right tackle that got moved to right guard because he wasn't producing in right tackle in Alex Leatherwood. We have Andre James as our new center to replace Rodney Hudson. So we have a new O-line, and let's see what has changed in our game. So look at Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is a popular player because he was a beast in 2019 and 2020. Everybody swore by Josh Jacobs. A lot of you have Josh Jacobs jerseys, but why isn't he producing this year? Let's look at Josh Jacobs' rushing yards. 2019, 1,150 rushing yards. 2020, 1,065 rushing yards. 2021, almost 500 rushing yards. But he still has 7 touchdowns in 2021, and in 2019 he still had 7 touchdowns. So how come his yards aren't there, but his touchdowns are almost the same? That's because Derek Carr has moved the ball down the field to the red zone to give him touchdowns. A lot of people say Derek Carr only has 18 touchdowns. That makes him a bad quarterback. Well, Josh Jacobs took some of those touchdowns. It doesn't matter who's going to score those touchdowns because the result of the game is you winning. Let's look at the Tennessee Titans. They have a 9-4 season so far. Let's look at Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill has less touchdowns. 18 Derek Carr's touchdowns to Ryan Tannehill's 14. So Carr has 14 more touchdowns, but Derrick Henry's a running back. He has 10 touchdowns. So it doesn't matter who's getting the touchdowns as long as we get touchdowns, right? It doesn't matter if it's Josh Jacobs or a wide receiver. Someone has to get a touchdown, but the running backs aren't doing it. Like I said, the O-line isn't opening up the gaps for Josh Jacobs to succeed. And we went to go get a new running back in Kenyon Drake, which we paid a good amount of money for, and he doesn't have touchdowns. He has some yards receiving, but I mean he's out of the season already. He's hurt. That's not his fault necessarily. So you're gonna tell me Josh Jacobs just is a bad player? He made NFL top 100 last year, so he's not a bad running back, but our O-line isn't opening up the run for him. So how does that have anything to do with Derek Carr? Derek Carr will hand the ball off, and if Josh Jacobs can't get a lane to run through, that has nothing to do with DC. That's totally unrelated. So I don't get why people are coming for DC's head. Let's look at our wide receivers now. Our leader in wide receivers is our slot receiver in Hunter Renfrow. Hunter Renfrow's a beast. Hunter Renfrow will get you yards after the catch, but the thing about a slot receiver is you're catching in the slot, so you're surrounded by defenders by the time you get the ball. He is able to get his yards after the catch, but you got to remember you're in the same division, in the same conference as Tyreek Hill, which is just getting so many more yards as a wide receiver 1. You're in a division with Justin Herbert that is getting which Justin Herbert people say is better than Derek Carr. Let's look at Justin Herbert real quick. Justin Herbert has less passing yards than Derek Carr, but he has 30 touchdowns. That's a lot of touchdowns. People say that he's a better quarterback. They're 8-5, so they're 2 wins above us. But their running back has 730 rushing yards, which is more than Josh Jacobs. But let's look at Justin Herbert's wide receivers. Keenan Allen has almost 1,000 yards, and Mike Williams has almost 1,000 yards. So would you start Bryan Edwards and Zay Jones over Keenan Allen and Mike Williams? I'm going to answer that for you guys. It's an easy no, you wouldn't. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are great wide receivers, and you could see it in their stats, and they're producing for Justin Herbert. And look at their tight end, Jared Cook. Jared Cook was with Carr before, and Jared Cook is a good tight end. But we have a better tight end in Darren Waller. But look, Jared Cook has 4 touchdowns. Darren Waller has 2 touchdowns. Now, does that necessarily mean that Darren Waller is worse than Derek Cook? No, those are stats. We know what Darren Waller can produce, and it's not DC's fault that that other players aren't opening up the field and getting separation to allow Darren Waller to get the ball. It's like Golden State, right? When you put 3 guys on Steph Curry, that opens up the lane for Clay Poole. That opens up the lane for Klay Thompson. That opens up all these players that the Golden State Warriors have. Stephen Curry's gonna open it up for everyone else to feed, right? So that's what Henry Ruggs was doing for a little bit. Darren Waller was feasting off of Henry Ruggs' opportunities. Bryan Edwards was doing a little better against the opportunities Henry Ruggs was producing, but we no longer have a wide receiver 1 or a wide receiver 2, because you're not gonna find Zay Jones in another starting lineup in the NFL. You're not going to find Bryan Edwards in another starting lineup in the NFL. These 2 receivers right here are producing numbers for the LA Chargers, and I got a clip that I could show you guys. Look, this is a pass right here that I believe that Derek Carr can make. This is not in. That's not up to the quarterback. That was just a ball. He threw it up. And look what Mike Williams was able to do. Justin Herbert just threw it up. He's being covered by 2 he's being covered by 2 people right here. And look how high he has to go up for the ball. And he comes down with the ball. That's the kind of production a wide receiver 1 and a wide receiver 2 is going to give you. So you can't tell me that Derek Carr can't make that kind of throw. And when you say that Derek Carr isn't a mobile quarterback, well, let's talk about the number 1 mobile quarterback in the NFL, Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is in a good organization, and he's won a game where he threw 3 interceptions and still won that game. The Las Vegas Raiders could never do that in their life. There's no way Derek Carr throws 3 interceptions and we still win that game. Lamar Jackson hasn't been through to a Super Bowl, and he hasn't won a Super Bowl or been to a Super Bowl. So does that make him a bad quarterback? No. It takes a lot more than just running the ball to go to a Super Bowl. Tom Brady has had great O-line, great defense, and gone to the Super Bowl, but he's not a mobile quarterback. How are you going to say that you need a mobile quarterback when Tom Brady is not a mobile quarterback and he's got the most Super Bowls out of any quarterback in the league? So you can't say that you need to be mobile. What you need is weapons. What you need is organization that players are going to want to play for. Talking about the Patriots have a head coach that people want to play for. Like look at what happened to our defense. Nobody wanted to play for Paul Guenther. Paul Guenther was running a weird defense that nobody could understand. But when Gus Bradley showed up, he brought along guys like Casey Hayward, KJ Wright, Yannick Ngakoue, and those are some major players that we have, all because of a head coach. So I believe people didn't want to play for John Gruden for whatever reason, that system wasn't working. Look at what happened with Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown had a complete meltdown with the Las Vegas Raiders, and he didn't want to play for us. Rodney Hudson left to Arizona. Willie Snead took off. John Brown from the Bills, he took off. So a lot of these players aren't sticking around to play for the Raiders, nor are a lot of players lining up to play for this organization. So you got to look at the complete NFL, not just focus on DC, because DC is one player. Let me put it this way. Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo is not a better quarterback, in my opinion, than Derek Carr. Derek Carr, I wouldn't trade Derek Carr for Jimmy Garoppolo, but Jimmy Garoppolo has been to the Super Bowl and he's been to the playoffs, but that's not necessarily because he's a better quarterback, but he had a better coach and a better organization. So what people need to understand is that no one's lining up to join the Raiders organization. We're getting pick of the litter players that have failed in other places. Djax was let go. When we got Nelson Aguilar had a great chemistry with Derek Carr. He was one of our better wide receivers, but he left to the Patriots. Our number one in Tyrell Williams, he was injured most of the time when we had him on contract, so we never really even used him as a number one wide receiver. So I'm not making excuses for Derek Carr. I don't mind if we trade Derek Carr to get draft picks, but how much do you trust the draft picks that we're making when all of our draft picks are bust? Look at Arnett, look at Cleveland Ferrell, look at all these draft picks that we've gotten that we thought were going to work out but haven't worked out. Josh Jacobs was a draft pick and he isn't producing the way he used to because of the old line. It's not Josh Jacobs' fault. We've seen Josh Jacobs' numbers. As I showed you guys here, he's had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, but our O-line has completely fallen apart, and that's not Derek Carr's fault. So you got to understand, when you have a weak O-line like the Seahawks, and Russell Wilson is a better quarterback. When you have a weak O-line, it affects the quarterback too, not just our running backs. We're still 6-7. Look at the Seattle Seahawks. They're 5-8. Russell Wilson is a better quarterback. I would trade Derek Carr for Russell Wilson, but what is that going to do when you have no offensive line to protect him? He's not going to leave a shitty offensive line in the Seattle Seahawks to join another shitty offensive line in the Las Vegas Raiders. Why would you do that? It makes no sense to me why people are coming for Derek Carr's head when he's not the only Achilles heel. He is a small problem which could be addressed further down the line, but I believe the only way you get Derek Carr out of the Las Vegas Raiders is if you're in a win now. We have wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, offensive line. We have our defense set up, and Derek Carr fails to produce. That's the only way we get rid of Derek Carr. Or if we're going to use our draft picks correctly and get a proven quarterback. So I just don't understand where the nation's coming after Derek Carr. I believe it's really up to our head coach and what he decides to do, what route he decides to take. I'm not opposed to trading Derek Carr for trade picks, but like I said, you're gambling at that point. You don't know what you're going to get in a draft class, and you don't know if that quarterback's going to produce. With DC, we know we could at least get 7 to 8 wins with a mediocre defense and some key players around him. With a draft pick, we don't know. So I would like I said, trade Darren Waller, get some draft picks for getting a elite wide receiver and building the O-line to see what we can do. But other than that, Let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. If you like the content, let me know. I could make another video about the Raiders in the future if you guys want it. But until next time, I'm out. Peace.
I'm just all about this money, I don't think about no thoughts. Girl, you don't know about me, so get off my fucking D. Born and raised in the dot, this is real as you gon' see. Girl, you don't know about me, so get off my fucking D.